Hello, my name is Zachary Garner. This is a multimedia presentation of a capstone presented to the Teachers College faculty of Western Governors University in partial fulfillment of the requirements for the degree Master of Science Curriculum and Instruction. The name of my capstone is Evaluation of a Curriculum for Alignment to Best Practices in Supporting Gifted Learners. This project is an applied research study designed to evaluate the Amplify Science 5th grade curriculum. The topic for my capstone research was the evaluation of the Amplify Science curriculum to determine its alignment to best practices for supporting 5th grade students who are identified as gifted or talented. This topic grew out of concern raised by educators in my district who felt that the curriculum does not adequately support 5th grade gifted students. Gifted students in particular require content that is advanced, complex, and appropriately challenging to maintain their engagement and foster intellectual growth. Research has shown that inquiry-based, problem-centered science instruction helps gifted learners stay engaged and achieve their potential. Research further suggests that science for high-ability learners must be differentiated and more challenging to match their intellectual strengths and interests. The problem addressed in this study is that the Amplify Science curriculum may not provide adequate support for gifted and talented 5th grade students. This gap can limit students' ability to stay engaged, challenged, and motivated in the subject of science. Educators in my district describe Amplify as a rigid and highly structured curriculum, leaving little room for differentiation. Without flexibility, gifted students are often required to move at the same pace as their peers, even when they have already mastered the content. This can lead to boredom, disengagement, and missed opportunities for deeper learning. Research further supports these concerns. Differentiated instruction is critical for gifted students because it enhances motivation, academic performance, mental habits, and social-emotional well-being. Further research emphasizes that gifted science education should push students to think critically, investigate complex processes, and engage in creative problem solving. When these opportunities are absent, gifted learners may develop negative attitudes towards school, which can suppress their academic growth and long-term potential. My research was guided by two essential questions. 1. How does the Amplify Science curriculum align with best practices to meet the needs of students identified as gifted or talented? 2. How might the Amplify Science curriculum be supplemented to address the needs of students identified as gifted or talented? The product of this research is an evaluation report used to assess and refine the Amplify curriculum. This product included three key components: a qualitative matrix, a Likert scale, and a mixed methods evaluation table. Qualitative matrix synthesized best practices from scholarly literature into a usable framework for analysis. A Likert scale rating system provided a structured way to measure alignment numerically on a 1 to 5 scale. This scale was developed from best practices identified in the qualitative matrix and includes descriptions of best practices in order to clarify ratings. Finally, a mixed methods evaluation table rated each component of the curriculum with a numeric score using the Likert scale. This table further provided justifications of the scores along with recommendations for revision of the curriculum components. This slide shows a portion of the qualitative matrix, which was built from a comprehensive review of literature based on practices in gifted education. The matrix identified 5 themes of best practices. These themes are maximizing instructional efficiency, differentiating learning through complexity and readiness, leveraging grouping and peer dynamics, promoting autonomy and inquiry, and engaging students in authentic problem solving. The matrix served as a guide for individual ratings, justification of ratings, and recommendations made about the components of the curriculum. To apply the ratings to each curriculum component, a Likert scale was developed. This scale was developed using the identified best practices from the qualitative matrix. The scale ranged from 1, which meant no alignment to gifted best practices, 2, which meant minimal alignment to best practices, 3, which meant partial alignment to best practices, 4, which meant substantial alignment to best practices, and a 5, which meant thorough alignment to best practices. The evaluation table combined quantitative ratings with qualitative justifications. For each unit in the Amplify curriculum, I scored lessons using the Likert scale and then explained why the score was given. The evaluation table also suggested opportunities for revision, making this not just an evaluative tool, but a practical resource for improvement of the curriculum. This research followed an applied research design using a mixed methods approach. Mixed methods was selected as both quantitative and qualitative data would be collected to evaluate the curriculum's alignment to best practices in supporting gifted and talented learners. Quantitative methods allowed me to evaluate the best practices identified within the current Amplify Science curriculum numerically. This allowed me to identify any gaps, strengths, and weaknesses in the curriculum. Qualitative methods allowed me to justify the proposed revisions and supplements to the curriculum to better align to best practices. Data collection analysis occurred in several steps. First, I conducted a literature review that was coded into a qualitative matrix, which established the framework for evaluation of the curriculum. Second, I scored each Amplify unit using the Likert scale, applying the ratings from 1 to 5. Third, I analyzed the scores by calculating the mode and range of each unit within the curriculum. The mode allowed me to see the strength of the unit's alignment to best practices, while the range allowed me to see the variability of alignment across units. Finally, I combined the numeric results with the narrative justifications to identify patterns of strength, weakness, and opportunities for revision. The next slides provide visual representations of the data. The first graphic outlines the themes from the qualitative matrix. Themes from the qualitative matrix were used to identify strategies for implementation. These strategies were then color-coded. These strategies were selected in order to identify and easily distinguish best practices implemented within the curriculum. Items coded in red refer to opportunities for compacting. This includes what types of assessments, tasks, and lessons can be consolidated in order to accelerate students beyond previously mastered grade-level content. Items coded in green refer to student-led inquiry. This includes opportunities for students to strengthen their autonomy by asking questions, exploring topics, and investigating problems and phenomena. Items coded in blue refer to the student's application of metacognitive skills. This includes students participating in activities that are complex, require higher order thinking, and allow them to reflect on their ability to make decisions, problem solve, and think critically. Items in purple indicate resources differentiated within the curriculum. This includes the incorporation of higher order thinking activities, adjusting student grouping based on readiness, and supporting students' autonomy through chunking of assignments and assessments. The second graphic illustrates the Likert scale itself. This was used to rate each aspect of the curriculum in its alignment to best practices for gifted and talented learners. The following table is created using the data from the evaluation table. From the evaluation table, the range and mode were determined for each curriculum unit. Areas of partial alignment with best practices and areas in need of revision were then identified. The color coding of the table mirrors that of the color coding from the first graphic. This allows areas that are partially aligned to best practices and areas in need of revision to be easily distinguished. The results of this study are that the data indicated that the curriculum is partially aligned with best practices. Though the Amplify Science Grade 5 curriculum does include aspects which support the need of gifted learners, these opportunities are inconsistent, resulting in the rating of partial alignment. In order to meet the needs of gifted and talented students, the curriculum should be revised to include differentiation for gifted learners. This includes activities which promote complex and higher order thinking, activities which foster student autonomy, and assessments which are set expectations for advanced learners at their readiness level. Furthermore, opportunities for compacting should be included in order for students to move beyond mastered skills so that they can be challenged at their readiness level and grow academically. Furthermore, the aspects of the curriculum should include more embedded inquiry tasks throughout the units, not just in culminating assessments. This will ensure gifted learners continue to take charge of their learning and explore new concepts and ideas, while also growing in their application of metacognitive skills, such as critical thinking and problem solving. The methodology itself has both strengths and weaknesses. One of the strengths of the methodology was the mixed methods evaluation approach. The Likert scale provided quantifiable measurements of alignment, while written explanations tied each rating to the specific lessons, activities, and assessments. These evaluation tools were research-based and replicable, making the findings both credible and useful. One weakness of the methodology was the Likert scale itself. The Likert scoring was applied by a single researcher, therefore the personal interpretations of the researcher may have influenced the results. In addition, the study did not include student performance data, meaning we cannot directly connect the curriculum alignment with actual learning outcomes. Several factors shaped the results of the study. The most significant was the design of the Amplify Science curriculum itself. The curriculum is highly structured and developed for a wide range of learners to ensure consistency. This structure can limit application of best practices such as differentiation and compacting, which has likely contributed to the mid-level scores. Another factor was the qualitative matrix. This matrix was built from gifted education research that emphasized compacting, inquiry, and autonomy. This lens highlighted curriculum gaps that may not appear under the general framework for evaluation. For example, a lesson that includes a structured lab may be seen as effective for grade-level learners. However, because such a task may lack differentiation or autonomy for gifted learners, it may be identified as an aspect of the curriculum that requires revision, given the framework of the matrix. Finally, my own background and perspective as an educator within the district may have influenced how I interpreted and rated the activities. While this may have grounded my research in real classroom challenges, it may have also introduced bias into how the scores were interpreted. This study points to 3 areas for further investigation. The first is the collection of student data to see how alignment to best practices or misalignment impacts actual learning outcomes for gifted learners. The second is to expand the evaluation to other grade levels. This would help determine whether the patterns observed in the 5th grade curriculum also appear at earlier or later grades. Third is to provide professional development that equips teachers with these skills and strategies to implement compacting, tiered inquiry, and differentiation within the Amplify framework. This would provide valuable guidance for supporting curriculum adaptations at the district level. Attached here are some of the resources I used during my research and within this presentation. Thank you for your time and for listening to my presentation.